Most people are insane. Albert Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results. And most people are insane because they live the exact same day over and over for their entire lives, expecting greatness, but achieving nothing. I think this is in part due to the fact that they're not evaluating the experiences that they went through. Because if you don't take the time to learn a lesson, you'll repeat the same mistakes over and over, right? And so if you don't take the time to evaluate the experiences that you've been through, how you got to where you are today, and take hold of the responsibility that comes with that, right? I am responsible for where I am today, for better or for worse. I think most people aren't willing to take the time to do that because it's so much easier just to watch a movie on Netflix or to, just scroll on social media, just tune out of the reality of the situation. But I think when you accept the reality of the situation, you accept the responsibility, the weight of the reality of the situation. That's when you're able to actually make strides forward. There's a quote I heard the other day. It's like, the one who's able to take the most truth is the one who accomplishes the most, or something along those lines, because you're able to confront reality with the most clear lens, right? If you're looking through a foggy lens of reality and that's what you like to see, well, then you're going to aim for something but miss because you have a foggy lens. It's not clear. The more clear you can get, the more truth that you can accept. Oh, I started eating a lot and that's why I've put on this weight. Or I wasted a bunch of time playing video games and this is one that I faced. So that's why I haven't accomplished anything this year, right? I cheated on that test, so of course I'm gonna fail the exam, right? If you aren't willing to take responsibility for the reality of the situation, you're not gonna move forward. I think in part this is due to humans being very prideful, right? Our ego is the center of our lives. We are our own God, which is not a good thing. And we have to do everything to make sure that we're blameless, that we're perfect, that there's no struggle, there's nothing wrong with what we're doing. These are the lies that we tell ourselves. But I think when you have the humility to accept that you're capable of more, you unlock the ability to do more in your life, right? So what do I mean by that? When you realize that you're not perfect, when you realize that you make mistakes, that you are definitely capable of more, that you're nothing compared to what you could be, it's a tough slap in the face. Wow, I have made decisions, I've lived my life in a suboptimal way, in some cases a negative way. I have been a nuisance in some cases, right? That's a terrible thing to come to the realization of. I have caused pain and suffering on other people, or annoyance, or on myself. I have not lived up to what others expected of me, or wanted from me, or knew that I was capable of. That's a difficult slap in the face, but if you realize that, you're now at step one. It's just understanding the reality of the situation, right? And I can't tell you how beneficial this has been and how this will continue to be beneficial, accepting the truth of the matter. Last year, or I guess this past year, I was supposed to be building up this vision, this dream of accomplishing, a trip, building enough tables or making enough videos to pay for a trip to every country in the world. That was my goal, right? Still is my goal a year later, but it's November and I've made no progress whatsoever. Or very little. I posted a couple videos, at the start of this year, and then I got out of the habit of posting, and then I got in this cycle of just paying rent or paying bills, and I busied myself with YouTube videos that were productive, and all these different things that I was just moving through the days, but they weren't building towards anything. There was no vision, there was no moves that I was making that would get me out of the situation, right? Until a couple months ago, I was like, I just need to do something, right? I think this is another one of the quotes I like to say, that necessity brings forth action, and action brings forth change, right? I thought of that when I was like 16. I thought I was the greatest guy in the world. But I think when you put yourself in a situation where you need to do something, that makes you act, right? When you're hungry, you go to the store, right? But that's just by default. If you put yourself in a situation where you need something and then you have to go do it, this is dangerous in some cases. A lot of people do this with money, right? They pay for something and they go into debt. So now they need to make more money, but the thing that they bought isn't making them money or whatever it is. They expect, somehow that they'll be able to pay for it down the road. They're putting the consequences on their future self, which never turns out, to be beneficial. But I'm getting off track. A couple months ago when I realized this, I just went for a cross-country biking tour. I was like, you know what? I need to make a video. I need to do something. So I'm just going to go do this crazy thing. It's going to cost a decent amount of money, and I just need to go for it. And, sometimes that's a good thing. It's just to, force yourself just to go do it. That way you're at least moving towards something. And maybe, hopefully you stumble along that path into some sort of success or something that gets you your head above water, that gets you out of that situation, right? Unfortunately, I did the whole trip and I still haven't posted the video, right? Because I got back and now I have this huge bill to pay, and I had to start building tables, and I had some contracts on the table that I was like, okay, or contracts available, I should say. That I was like, okay, I need to act on these quick. That way I can start paying for this trip that I just went on. And this has been the cycle for such a long time that I raise money, I go on a trip, I spend more money than I have, I get back and I have to pay off the rest of the money, right? So here's me evaluating my experiences. If I want to make any sort of change in the future, any sort of progress, I have to understand that I'm capable of more, that I'm living a suboptimal life right now, that the things that I'm doing, the habits, the patterns are not working out, okay? So I'm taking a hit to my pride, hit to my ego, and admitting that I'm not doing what I should be doing. Okay, so what is my mistake? Let me evaluate this experience. I usually go for a journey that costs a lot of money. It's a great idea, but there's a time frame on it that causes me to have to finish it in a certain amount of time, and I'm never able to post videos because that time frame is so tight. I'm expecting myself to live up to this perfect vision for myself without any sort of training or any sort of planning or whatever it is to actually make the dream a reality, right? So that's one side of it that I'm doing wrong. Another side is that I'm spending a lot of money, that I'm basically draining my resources every single video. But right now, every video that I'm doing is not an investment at the current point in time. It's more of a debt, more of a purchase, an expense. Because, if I had 100,000 people watching every single week and I got ad revenue and sponsors, and, I was able to funnel money back into the business, that is an example of an investment, right? Reinvesting profits into the business. But right now I'm just paying its expenses because I don't have that proof of concept. I don't have 100 million or 100,000 subscribers watching every single week, right? So I need to do twofold. I need to come up with ideas that allow me more time, right? Until I have a team to where I can actually accomplish these huge ideas that I have to be okay with the fact that maybe progress might take a little bit longer than I expected. Maybe I'm only capable of doing one video a week and not one every single day. Okay, so if I admit that to myself, I'm changing, I'm changing the likelihood of success. It's more likely that I'll succeed by giving myself a little bit more time. So that's one part of the evaluated experience. Another side of it, I have to do something that doesn't really cost a lot of money because I don't have any money. And the money that I do have, I have to funnel back into something that's already working, right? So about a month ago, I had a bunch of money from this table contract that I finished. It was 23 tables desks that I installed. That's huge, right? So this is a long project that took me like 3 months to complete. I got it installed. I'm like, wow, I have this money. Like, what should I do with it? And part of me was like, I should go. I wanted from October through the end of the year, or September through the end of the year, I wanted to go hitchhiking to all 50 states. That was my thing. I was like, oh, I have this money. Like, this will pay for a hitchhiking tour. I'll be able to hitchhike to all 50 states in 3 months, and like, it'll make for a great video, right? This is part of like a YouTube copycat series that I'm doing. If you want to check it out, if I have any videos posted, it'll be on my main account. But the flawed logic that I had, I was doing something on a time frame with money that I didn't necessarily have available to spend. I had that money, but it wasn't a smart idea to just throw it all away on an idea that there's no proof of concept. I would basically have drained my resources to go for an idea that I have no idea if it was going to work or even pay me back. So instead, what I did was like, you know what? Maybe there's a different way. So I was thinking like maybe tables. I could build 100 tables with the money, or maybe, merchandise. I could make some sweatshirts or whatever it is. I just started looking. I switched my frame of mind from I'm going to put this into an expense, a video, right? Which one day will be an investment. I switched it from that to, okay, I'm going to put it into something that's already working. For me, that was woodworking, right? My woodworking company has been making money for 3 years now, which is awesome, right? So then but the problem is I've never reinvested the profits. I've never put money back into my business. So I was like, okay, if I actually do that for once, maybe 6 months down the line, I'll reap the benefits for this investment. And for the first time ever, my head will be above water. I'll be able to actually go for an idea and not drain all my resources. That would be an incredible vision, right? That would be an incredible thing. All of that started from me admitting that I'm doing it wrong. I was doing it wrong for the past 2 years now. I've been making TikToks for 4 years. 4 years. And I've been making YouTube videos for like 2.5 or something like that. Maybe 3. It was like 2020. Yeah, 3 years. So, and I've been terrible at that. I've only made like 50 of them, which, yes, that sounds like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, like 50 videos over 3 years is not a way to build a successful following. Long story short, I found an opportunity, a place to put this money that I made from those 23 tables. And I think for the first time ever, in about 4 or 5 months, I'll, once I'm able to sell part of this investment in woodworking, I'll have my head above water. I'll be able to make this dream of YouTube, of whatever it is, 200 countries, a reality, because I'm detaching myself from having to rely solely on money that I make with manual hours. Instead, I'm making money from an investment on top of the money that I'm making from my manual labor, my manual hours, right? And then for the first time ever, I'll be able to put some more time that I would have spent building tables into making YouTube videos. And it's this whole positive feedback loop that all started with me admitting that I'm capable of more, that I'm doing something wrong and I need to make a change. So that's my challenge for you today. Admit that you're wrong, because unless you're Elon Musk, or unless, you're Mother Teresa, or unless you're living the life that you want to live, right? Unless you're raising 3 kids and you're loving life and you're reading books and all these different things, or unless you're running a successful company, or unless this, that, and the other, whatever it is, unless you're doing what you want to be doing, right? Right now, if you are in a situation where you do not like going to work, if you do not like the day that you're about to go into, then make a change. Admit that you're wrong and figure out what lesson needs to be learned in order to move forward. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not be perfect. And I think we put this pressure on ourselves to be perfect, but then when we do something wrong, we get mad at ourselves because we expect ourselves to be perfect, but we're not. Human beings are not perfect. And so why would you, there's a quote in Meditations from Marcus Aurelius. You can only expect of nature what it does by nature. So you can only expect something to do what it's meant to do. And so if people are being annoying at work, well, that's not the best. Well, I mean, if someone is speaking, this is not a good example. Basically, if something is happening that you knew was going to happen, you shouldn't be mad at that thing happening. You see what I mean? And then when you accept that mindset of like, okay, I knew that this was going to happen, so I shouldn't be mad at it. I should just accept that as a reality and move forward, knowing that in the future, this will happen again. And I should detach myself from that anger, that resentment that comes with that feeling, right? It is when we step off the pedestal and when we admit that we're not perfect, that we're wrong, that we're capable of more, that we have the ability to achieve more. When you have the humility to step off your high horse, you have the ability to step up your game. Whatever it is, you know. This is a running experiment, right? And you're seeing me actively learning how to evaluate my past experiences. And so I hope to continue to have this conversation in 4 to 5 months when I hope, or when I believe, this woodworking investment will pay off. Because if I'm able to actually do it and I'm able to actually start posting videos on a consistent daily basis or weekly basis or whatever it looks like, that'll be the dream life. And it'll all have started by me accepting the fact that I'm capable of more and making strides towards it. It's a wonderful life. Why not us?